Hi guys, this is Arvind from MindMajix, and today I welcome you all to this amazing session on data analyst interview questions. So guys, data analyst jobs, or in general the tech jobs related to data, like data engineering and even data scientists, these jobs are, they are quite huge in number these days. And as you might also know that there's a saying called data is the new oil. So guys, if you're preparing for any of these kind of roles like data analyst, then in this particular video, we will cover a lot of questions related to data analyst. And in this video, we have divided all the questions into three categories. We'll be covering roughly around 30 questions, and the first 10 questions are for the beginners. The next 10 questions are for the intermediate people, and the last 10 questions are for the advanced people. So guys, this is the agenda for today's video. And before moving ahead, I want you guys to subscribe to MindMajix YouTube channel and also hit that bell icon so that you never miss an update from us. So guys, without any further delay, let's get started with our first question. So the first question is, what are the key responsibilities of a data analyst? So a data analyst is someone who's responsible for collecting, cleaning and interpreting data to help the businesses make informed decisions. So they prepare reports, dashboards, and visualizations to represent the insights. So data analysts often use SQL to query the databases, Excel for quick analysis, and the tools like Power BI or Tableau for visualization. So guys, these are the key skills of any data analyst, such as Excel, SQL, and any visualization tools such as Power BI or Tableau. So data analysts also work closely with the stakeholders to understand the business problems and provide data-driven solution. For example, in an e-commerce company, a data analyst might track the customer purchase patterns to suggest the product recommendations. So, what generally happens in an e-commerce company is, let's say there's a data analyst. So, what is his job? Like the primary job of a data analyst over there is he might track, with the help of, obviously with the help of data, he might track the purchase patterns. Like depending upon the data, he has the data. He processes that data, he works on that data, and once he works on that data, he comes to understand the purchase patterns. Now, what is the use of understanding the purchase patterns? So once you understand the purchase patterns of the customers, then you can suggest them product recommendations depending upon their history. Okay, so this was just a short example, and now let's move to the next question. So the next question is, what is the difference between data, information, and insights? So guys, this is a very basic question and a very important question that you must understand. Okay, so data is raw, like something which is unprocessed with facts like numbers, text, or clicks. On the other hand, if you talk about information, it is something which is more structured and organized data that gives us context, such as sales by region or sales by month or sales by year. Okay, so the data is the raw thing, and if you do some analysis on the data, or if you organize it or if you structure it, then you have the information. Okay, so from data you're getting the information. And now if you talk about insights, so insights go one step further. Basically, they provide meaning and actionable recommendations. For example, 10,000 units sold is data, units sold in the north region is information, and north region sales are declining due to fewer repeated customers. That's the insight. So basically, a data analyst's role is to transform the raw data into meaningful insights. The next question is, let's suppose your manager gives you a messy data set with missing values and duplicate rows. So what are the steps that you will take to handle these kind of data? So first and foremost, what you must do is you must check for the missing values and analyze their patterns. So if the missing data is small, you can remove those rows, and if they are significant or if they are higher in number, you can use the imputation such as mean, median, and mode. So for duplicates, what you can do is you can remove them to avoid the skewed analysis. After that, you can standardize the formats, for example, date formats, categorical values, and normalize the numerical fields if needed. So for this purpose, you can use tools like pandas in Python or Power Query in Excel. to make this process efficient. For example, in a customer dataset, missing age values can be filled with the median to avoid the bias. The next question is, what is the difference between structured and unstructured data? So structured data is organized into rows and columns such as customer names, ages, and purchase history stored in databases. On the other hand, unstructured data has no fixed format such as emails, images, videos, or social media posts. On the other hand, there's another third category, which is the semi-structured data. So this falls between the two, like structured and unstructured. Somewhere in between is the semi-structured format. And the examples of semi-structured data is the JSON or the XML files. For example, sales transaction data is structured while customer product reviews. So the reviews generally have text and images. So these kind of data are unstructured data. So analysts usually deal more with the structured data, but they may also integrate unstructured data for deeper insights. The next question is, let's suppose your business team asks for a quick analysis of weekly sales trends. So how will you approach this particular scenario? So guys, in the actual interview as well, they are not just going to ask you theory questions these days. Like theory questions can be, they're very easy to answer normally. So the interviewer will test the depth of your knowledge by asking you scenario based questions or real time questions. So this is that kind of question. So let's suppose, I'll repeat the question once again. Let's suppose your business team asks for a quick analysis of a weekly sales trends. So how will you approach this particular scenario? So over here, what you can do is you can first extract the sales data from the source system. Like it can be anything such as a SQL database or an Excel file. So then what you can do is you can aggregate the sales by week and visualize them in a line chart to spot the trends. So guys, once you have the data, the next job is to visualize them. So for visualizing, you can use any visualization tool, or you can even, like if the data is a bit smaller, then you can even use Excel. Okay. So next, what you're going to do is you can compare week over week changes to identify the growth or decline. Apart from that, you can also highlight the anomalies like the sudden drops or spikes with possible reasons. For example, if there's a holiday season, or there's something shortage of the stock. So these kind of reasons. Finally, what you can do is you can present the findings in a clear dashboard using Tableau, Power BI, or even Excel pivot charts. So guys, the next question is, what is exploratory data analysis or EDA? So guys, EDA is the process of analyzing data sets to summarize their main characteristics. So it includes checking the data distributions, outliers, correlations, and missing values. Visualization techniques like histograms, scatter plots, and box plots are used to understand the patterns. For example, in analyzing employee salaries, EDA may show that most employees earn between $50K to $70K per annum, with a few high earners as outliers. So basically, EDA helps analysts to decide on data cleaning, transformations, and feature engineering. The next question is, let's suppose your dataset has outliers that are affecting your average results. So what will you do? So first and foremost, what you can do is you can identify the outliers using statistical methods like IQR, which is the interquartile range, or z-scores. So if the outliers are genuine, what you can do is you can keep them, but you must use median instead of mean for analysis. If at all they are data entry errors, you can correct them or you can either remove them. In some cases, you can cap outliers to a certain threshold. For example, in sales analysis, if most transactions are under $500, but one is $50,000, then that value may need special handling. The next question is, what is the difference between a primary key and a foreign key? So guys, this question is related to database management systems, or like, even in SQL, you use this concept of primary key and foreign key. So over here, you have to highlight the difference between a primary key and a foreign key. So primary key uniquely identifies each record in a table, such as a customer ID, and this is a unique value. On the other hand, if you talk about foreign key, so this establishes a relationship between two tables by referencing the primary key of another table. For example, in a sales table, the orders table may use customer ID as a foreign key linking back to the customers table. So this ensures that data consistency and integrity is maintained across relational databases. The next question is, let's suppose you're asked to check whether marketing campaigns are driving more website traffic. So how will you analyze this particular scenario? So first and foremost, you must gather the website traffic data such as page views and sessions and marketing campaign data like ad spends or clicks. Then in the second step, you can join both datasets by date or campaign ID. After that, what you can do is you can compare the traffic levels before, during and after campaigns to measure the lift. So if the conversion data is available, you can calculate the return on investment or the ROI. For example, if traffic increased 20% during the campaign, but conversions stayed flat, the campaign may need targeting improvements. The next question is, what is the difference between OLTP and OLAP systems? So OLTP, which is the online transaction processing system, they handle day-to-day operations like banking transaction, order placements, or ticket bookings. On the other hand, if you talk about the online analytical processing or the OLAP systems, so they are designed for analysis and reporting, optimized for queries and aggregations. For example, Amazon's website cart is an OLTP system, while their sales dashboard is powered by the OLAP. So data analysts basically work with OLAP systems to perform the data analysis. So guys, with this, we have covered the beginner or the fresher level of questions for data analyst role. And now question number 11 to 20, like the next 10 questions, these are the intermediate questions. Like these questions are meant for the people who have at least 2 to 3 years of experience working as a data analyst. So now let's move to the next question. So the next question is, what is the difference between inner join, left join, right join and full join in SQL? So guys, this is a very important question, and if you answer this successfully, so this is going to create a very good impression of yours on the interviewer. So now to answer this question, if you talk about inner join, so inner join basically returns only the matching rows between the two tables. And guys, in this particular question, you can also explain with the help of the diagram. Okay, so if you can draw the two circles and using those two circles, you can explain all of the four types of joins. Now, if you talk about the left join, so left join basically returns all of the rows from the left table and matching rows from the right table. Next comes the right join, which is the opposite of left join. So over here, we return all the rows from the right table and the matching rows from the left table. Okay, and then comes the full join. So full join basically returns all of the rows from both the tables with nulls where there is no match. For example, if you join the customers and the orders, an inner join gives only customers who made the orders, while a left join gives all the customers and even those with no orders. The next question is, you are asked to calculate customer retention for a subscription based company. So how will you approach this problem? So first and foremost, you'll define retention. So usually customers who renewed subscriptions after their first month or a quarter or a year, these are the customers which have been retained. Next, you'll identify the cohort of customers who joined in a specific period and check how many of them are still active after the retention period. So for this, you'll use SQL queries with date functions to track the start and renewal dates. Finally, I'll calculate the retention rate. So basically, what do you mean by retention rate? So customers retained divided by customers acquired into 100. For example, if 1000 customers joined in January and 700 remained in February, that means the retention rate is 70%. The next question is, what are KPIs and why they are important for data analysts? So guys, KPI means key performance indicators, and they are measurable values that show how effectively a company is achieving its objectives. For example, an e-commerce business may track conversion rate, average order value, and customer retention. So KPIs guide analysts to focus on metrics that directly impact the business goals. They also help the stakeholders quickly measure the performance. So without the KPIs, analysis can be unfocused and less actionable. The next question is, Let's suppose your dashboard is showing incorrect results, but your SQL queries look fine. So how will you troubleshoot this particular scenario? So first and foremost, you can validate the source data to ensure that it is complete and correct. Next, what you can do is you can check if there are any transformation errors in the ETL pipelines. After that, you must also verify if filters or aggregations in the dashboard tool such as Tableau or Power BI are applied correctly. And sometimes mismatched joins or duplicated records can cause inflated numbers. For example, if sales are doubled, you can check if a join created duplicate rows. So debugging each layer systematically helps fix these kind of issues. The next question is, explain the concept of data normalization in databases. So data normalization is a process of organizing data to reduce the redundancy and improve the data integrity. So basically it involves breaking large tables into smaller ones and defining the relationships. So normal forms such as 1NF, 2NF, 3NF and so on, these normal forms ensure that the data is stored logically. For example, instead of storing customer address in every record, we can store it once for the customer tables and reference it using a foreign key. So this saves storage and prevents inconsistencies. The next question is, let's suppose a business leader asks why revenue is declining in the past quarter. So how will you answer these kind of questions, or how will you analyze these scenarios? So first and foremost, you can start by breaking down revenue, which is number of customers, into average order value, into purchase frequency. Next step would be analyzing each factor. For example, are fewer customers buying? Like the customers are not, you're not getting new customers, or the existing customers are not placing any orders, or did the average spending decrease? Are repeat purchases declining? So next, what you can do is you can segment by region, by product or customer type to identify where the drop occurred. For example, you can find that high value customers reduced spending due to competitor discounts. So once you identify these kind of issues, you can recommend corrective actions like targeted promotions. The next question is, what is data cleaning and why is it important? So data cleaning is the process of correcting or removing inaccurate, incomplete or irrelevant data. So it ensures analysis results are accurate and reliable. So common tasks include handling missing values, removing duplicates, fixing formatting errors, and validating ranges. For example, a customer dataset may have phone numbers with inconsistent formats, which may need standardization. So without cleaning the data, insights may be misleading or leading to wrong business decisions. The next question is, let's suppose you're asked to identify the top 5 products driving sales in different regions. So how will you solve this problem? So first and foremost, join the sales table with the product and the region dimensions. After that, group the data by region and product and summing up the total sales. Next, what you can do is you can rank the products with each region using the SQL functions like rank or dense rank. And finally, you can present the results in dashboard with filters for easy exploration. For example, in the north region, the top 5 may be electronics, while in the south, it may be apparel. The next question is, what is the difference between data warehousing and data lakes? So data warehouse stores structured, processed data optimized for analysis and reporting. A data lake stores raw data in any format, structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. For example, Amazon Redshift is a warehouse, while AWS S3 can be a data lake. So data analysts usually work with warehouses for BI reporting, while data scientists may use data lakes for advanced analytics and machine learning. The next question is, let's suppose you notice that the customer churn is higher among the mobile app users compared to the website users. So how will you investigate this? Like, what are you going to do if you encounter such kind of scenario, and you have to come up with the reasons like why this is happening? Okay. So first and foremost, you can validate the churn rates by platform using the data segmentation. After that, you can analyze user behavior metrics like sessions duration, page load speed, and app crashes. After that, you can also check customer feedback to see if usability issues exist. So if churn is significantly higher in the app, you can recommend further UX testing or performance optimization. For example, users might drop off if the checkout process is too slow on the app. So guys, with this, we have covered the intermediate level of questions for data analysts. And now the next 10 questions, like question number 21 to 30, we will be covering the advanced questions related to data analyst. So the next question is, what is A/B testing and how it can help businesses? So A/B testing compares two versions of a web page, product or campaign to determine which performs better. So one group sees version A and the another group sees version B. So analysts measure the key metrics like click-through rate or conversion rate to find the winner. For example, an e-commerce company may test two different checkout designs to see which increases the purchases. So this data-driven approach reduces the guesswork in decision making. The next question is, your company wants to test whether offering free shipping can increase the sales. So how will you design this experiment? So first and foremost, over here what you can do is you can divide the customers into two groups. So one gets free shipping, which is the test group, and one doesn't get the free shipping, which is the control group. So you can track the key metrics like conversion rate, average order value, and the total revenue. After that, you can run statistical significant test to confirm the results are not random. So if the test group shows a meaningful uplift in sales, we can recommend implementing free shipping widely. For example, a 15% higher conversion in the test group proves the benefit. So guys, again, in the previous question, we have seen what is A/B testing, and this is a real-time application of A/B testing. So you have to find out whether offering free shipping can really boost the sales or not. So what we have done is we have implemented both the things, like few set of customers get the free shipping and the other set of customers doesn't get the free shipping, and then we test it, like we don't take any random guesses, we see which group they perform better in real time. So if getting free shipping, that really increases the sales. And another key metric would be, if you have some value to come up with a decision. For example, a 15% higher conversion in the test group. So if you achieve that figure, then you're good to go with the free shipping option. The next question is, what is regression analysis and where it is used? So regression analysis is a statistical method used to study the relationship between a dependent variable and one or more independent variables. Basically, it helps in predicting the outcomes. For example, sales, which is a dependent variable, can be predicted using ad spend, discounts, and seasonality, which are independent variables. So basically, analysts use regression to understand which factors influence the results the most. So this is a commonly applied in forecasting and business strategy. The next question is, let's suppose your manager wants to know if the ad spend directly impacts the revenue. So how will you prove it? So first and foremost, you can collect historical data of ad spend and revenue across campaigns. After that, you can run a regression analysis to check the correlation and significance. So if the regression model shows a strong positive coefficient for ad spend, it means higher spending drives more revenue. Apart from that, you can also check the R square, which is the goodness of fit, to see how much variance in revenue is explained by ad spend. For example, a goodness of fit of 0.8 means 80% of revenue changes are explained by ad spend. The next question is, what are ETL processes and why are they important in data analysis? So guys, ETL basically stands for extract, transform, and load. So it is the process of extracting data from different sources, transforming it into a usable format, and loading it into a data warehouse. So ETL ensures data consistency, accuracy, and availability for analysis. For example, extracting sales data from ERP, cleaning it, and loading it into Snowflake for dashboards. So this is a simple ETL pipeline. So without the ETL, analysts would spend too much time manually preparing the data. The next question is, you are analyzing a time series sales data. Now, how will you forecast the future sales? So first and foremost, you can start by checking for trends, seasonality, and cyclic patterns in historical data. Then what you can do is you can apply forecasting models like ARIMA, exponential smoothing, or even ML based models. Further, you can validate the model by using the train test split and error metrics like MAP. For example, in retail, sales often spike in December, so that the model must account for seasonality. So once built, you can share the forecasts with confidence intervals to help the business planning. The next question is, what is the difference between descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive analytics? So guys, these are basically the terms that are used in statistical analysis. So once you have the data and you analyze the data, then you come across these kind of terms. And now let's see what are they one by one. So if you talk about the descriptive analytics or descriptive analysis, so the descriptive statistics or the descriptive analysis basically tells you what has happened. So with the help of data, you analyze the data and then you come to a conclusion of what has really happened. Like let's suppose you have a sales data. So with that data, you can conclude that, what has been the sales or in the past quarter or in the past month or in the past year. Okay. So whatever has happened, that you have to analyze using the data. So that is nothing but the descriptive analysis. Now comes the diagnostic, which means why a particular thing has happened with the help of data. Like you have to, everything has to be done with data. Okay. So diagnostic means you are trying to figure out why did something happen. For example, let's say if you have sales data and you come to a conclusion that there has been a drop due to fewer repeat customers. Okay, so let's say you have the sales data and you have that there are customers like in that data. So you have to understand why there has been a drop, and the customers have not been repeated or you didn't get the new customers. Okay, so that is something which is known as the diagnostic analysis. And next comes the predictive. Okay, so predictive simply means what is going to happen. So with the help of data, you figured out what has happened, and you have also understood the reason, like why that particular thing has happened. And now based on the past data, you're trying to predict what will happen in the future. So that is something which is called as predictive analysis. And then comes the prescriptive analysis, which means what should we do. Okay, for example, if you have to launch a loyalty program to boost the repeat sales, so that is something which can be done using the prescriptive analysis. So basically, data analysts primarily work in descriptive and diagnostic stages, but they may also support the predictive analytics as well. The next question is, let's suppose you're asked to identify the key drivers of customer churn. So how will you approach this particular problem? So first and foremost, you'll have to define the churn clearly. For example, customers that are inactive for 90 days or more. Next, you have to collect the data based on demographics, purchase frequency, support tickets, and feedback. After that, you can use statistical methods like logistic regression or decision trees to find out the drivers. For example, results may show that churn is the highest among the low engagement customers with more than 3 complaints. So based on the insights, you can recommend strategies like personalized offers or better customer service. The next question is, what are data governance and data quality and why are they important? So data governance is a framework for managing data availability, integrity, and security. So data quality ensures that the data is accurate, consistent, and usable. So together, they ensure the trustworthy analytics. For example, without governance, the two teams may use different definitions of active customers, and this can lead to conflicting reports. So high quality data builds confidence in business decisions. The next question is, let's suppose you're asked to design a dashboard for senior leadership. So what are the principles that you will follow? So first and foremost, you must identify the key KPIs aligned with the leadership goals such as revenue, churn, and customer satisfaction. The next step would be designing a clean, simple dashboard with minimal clutter or minimal amount of information. Only putting relevant things on the dashboard and skipping the less important ones. After that, you can use the appropriate visualizations like line charts for trends, bar charts for comparisons, and KPIs for key numbers. Apart from that, you can also add filters for region, time period, and product. For example, a CEO dashboard should allow a quick glance at a performance while enabling deeper drill downs. So guys, with this, we have come to the end of this session on data analyst interview questions. I hope you guys have enjoyed this session. And if at all you have any doubts related to the questions that we have discussed, or any further doubts related to the data analyst interview questions, so you can write them in the comment section and we will try to resolve your queries as soon as possible. So guys, thank you so much for being with us, and I wish you all the very best for your upcoming data analyst interview.